The morning at Golden Sky Corporation started just like always, painfully quiet, filled with the soft clicking of keyboards and the occasional sound of heels echoing against the marble floor. You walked in, balancing a cup of coffee in one hand and a stack of files in the other. The receptionist smiled nervously when you passed. Everyone in the office knew your position wasn't easy. You were John Jungkook's secretary. The cold, heartless CEO, at least. That's what everyone said. You didn't fully disagree. You knocked twice before entering his office. Jungkook was already seated behind his desk, sleeves rolled up, tie loose, hair falling slightly over his eyes as he typed something intensely. Good morning, sir. You greeted politely, placing his schedule for the day on the desk. He didn't look up. You are 3 minutes late. You blinked. The elevator stopped at every floor. I then leave earlier next time. He interrupted flatly, eyes still glued to the screen. You exhaled quietly, muttering under your breath. Good morning to you too, Mr. Sunshine. I heard that. He said without even looking up. Your eyes widened slightly. You have got great hearing for someone who never listens. That made him pause. His typing stopped for half a second before he finally looked up at you, eyes dark, expression unreadable. Are you trying to be funny, Miss Ryan? You smiled sweetly. Was I? His lips pressed into a line, but you swore you saw the corner twitch, like he was holding back a smirk. Get me the quarterly report from the finance department, he said finally, and tell Mr. Kim from PR that the proposal draft is still missing the client's update figures. Yes, sir. You turned to leave, but his voice stopped you again. And Miss Ryan, he added, eyes narrowing slightly. Next time you plan to talk back, make sure you are ready to handle the consequences. You bit back a smile. Noted, sir. Later that afternoon, the office cafeteria burst with chatter. You sat across from Mingyu, your best friend from the finance department, who was busy stirring his iced coffee. So, he said with a grin, how's life under the nation's coldest CEO? You sighed dramatically. He's insufferable. It's like he has a radar that detects when I'm in a good mood just so he can ruin it. Mingyu laughed loudly, drawing a few glances. You love exaggerating. I'm serious, you said, pointing your straw at him. I swear. He times his emails. Every time I take a sip of coffee, ping, there's a new task. He chuckled, leaning back. Maybe he just wants your attention. Please, you scoffed. The only thing John Jungkook wants is more control. Still, Mingyu teased, you talk about him a lot. That's because I'm his secretary. You shot back. It's literally my job to talk about him. He grinned, and yet you sound a bit defensive. You threw a napkin at him, laughing. Shut up, Mingyu. Meanwhile, up on the top floor, Jungkook sat in his chair, staring at his computer screen. Not at spreadsheets, not at contracts, at you. The CCTV feed from the cafeteria was open on his second monitor. He told himself it was for security, but he wasn't watching anyone else, just you, sitting there laughing with Mingyu, eyes bright, voice full of energy. When Mingyu leaned over to show you something on his phone and you laughed again, Jungkook's jaw clenched. Taeyong, his assistant, knocked lightly. Sir, the board report. Jungkook waved his hand. Leave it there. Taeyong paused, following Jungkook's gaze to the screen. Are you watching the cafeteria? Jungkook shot him a sharp look. It's called management oversight. Taeyong's lips twitched. Right, very focused oversight. Get out, Jungkook said flatly. As soon as the door closed, he turned back to the monitor. just in time to see Mingyu casually wrap an arm around your shoulder. Laughing about something, Jungkook's fingers tightened around his pen so hard it snapped in two. Ink bled on his palm, but he didn't even notice. His expression darkened. Unbelievable, he muttered. When you came back to his office later that afternoon, his tone was even colder than usual. You stepped in with a smile. Sir, I got the finance reports you asked for. He didn't look up, I can see that. You placed the files down. Everything is cross checked and signed. Anything else? Yes, he said quietly, finally meeting your eyes. Next time you decide to spend half an hour in the cafeteria during work hours, make sure it's work related. You froze. Excuse me? You heard me. This isn't a social club, Miss Wyan. Your eyebrows knitted. I was discussing interdepartment data with Mingyu. It was work related. His eyes narrowed as if testing your lie. Really? Is that what you call it when you hug him in front of everyone? Your breath hitched. You were watching me? He leaned back slightly, voice calm but edged. This building has CCTV cameras, Miss Wyan. Don't look so surprised. I monitor my staff. You blinked, half shocked, half furious. That's invasion of privacy. Not if it happens during office hours. He said, tone almost mocking. You crossed your arms. You are unbelievable. I've heard that before. He said, eyes flicking briefly to your lips before returning to the file in front of him. Now get me the new presentation slides by tomorrow morning. You'll stay overtime tonight. What? Sir, it's almost 6. Then I suggest you start quickly, he interrupted smoothly. And Miss Wyan, you glared. What now? His lips curved faintly, a ghost of a smirk. Maybe spend less time hugging employees during lunch. You would finish faster. Your jaw dropped. Are you serious right now? Very. He said simply, eyes returning to the screen. You stood there for a moment, speechless, fuming before you muttered. You really are heartless. Good, he said coldly. Then I'm doing my job right. Hours later, you were still in the office, eyes dropping, typing out slide after slide. Jungkook had already left, or so you thought. But as you packed your bag near 10 p.m., you felt a presence by the door. You're still here? His deep voice said. You turned startled. I thought you went home. I was finishing something. He replied, leaning against the doorway, hands in his pockets. You muttered. Right, probably reviewing CCTV footage of people eating lunch. His brows lifted slightly. Still mad? Mad? You said, grabbing your bag. Oh no, I love staying late for no reason. It's my favorite part of the job. He didn't reply for a moment, just watched you. Tired, frustrated, yet still stubbornly confident. Finally, he said quietly, you should be more careful with people like him. You frowned. People like Mingyu? He nodded slowly. Not everyone has good intentions. Your eyes softened a bit. And you do? His gaze lingered on you, unreadable. I never said that. You rolled your eyes. Good night, Mr. John, and you walked away, leaving him standing. After some time, he walked to the window, looking down, watching your taxi pull away through the rain. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. Why does she have to laugh like that with him? He muttered, shaking his head with a tired smile that wasn't quite a smile. Somewhere inside him, something unfamiliar stirred, something he didn't want to name yet. The next morning, you slammed your bag onto your desk with a groan that made your co-worker flinch. Rough morning? Someone asked carefully. You didn't even look up. More like a rough boss. A few hours later, you found yourself sitting in the cafeteria again, your usual stress spot, stirring your coffee while Mingyu sat across from you, trying not to laugh. He what? Mingyu asked, eyes wide with amusement. He literally quoted CCTV footage to me. You snapped, throwing your hands up, like word for word. Said I was hugging you in the cafeteria and then made me stay overtime as punishment. Mingyu burst out laughing. Oh my god, he has lost it. I think so too, you said, leaning forward dramatically. He has lost his mind, and he's going to make me lose mine right after him. Mingyu chuckled, sipping his drink. You are just realizing that now? You glared, not helping. He smirked. Okay, so Mr. Ice King has started watching you through cameras. That's new. Maybe he's just obsessed. You interrupted, narrowing your eyes. Yeah, with ruining my life. Mingyu laughed again. Or maybe with you. You rolled your eyes. Don't start that again. Fine, he said, shrugging. Then how about this? You need a break. You have been buried in work for weeks and now this psycho boss behavior? You'll go insane if you don't step out for a bit. You frowned. Where exactly am I supposed to go? He grinned. The club. The one we used to hit before work swallowed our lives? You blinked. The club? Yeah, drinks, dancing, no spreadsheets. You need that. Your face lit up at the thought. That actually sounds nice. See, finally you are agreeing with me. But you cut him off, your smile fading. John Jungkook won't approve any leave. You know what happened last time I asked to go home early for a dentist appointment? He said, your teeth can wait, my meetings can't. Mingyu burst out laughing. He actually said that? You nodded miserably. Word for word. Then make an excuse, Mingyu suggested, grinning mischievously. Something he can't say no to. You raised a brow. Like what? My plan died? I need a day to mourn? He laughed. No, something serious. Family emergency? Hospital? You know, the classics. You gasped dramatically. You want me to lie? He gave you a look. Please, you're already halfway there every time you say, yes sir, I'll handle it. You smacked his arm, laughing. Okay, that was a little too real. Come on, say your grandmother is sick or something. My grandmother is fine. She lives in the countryside. She's healthier than me. He shrugged. He won't check. He's not that insensitive. Just say she's in the hospital. You'll get your evening free and we'll go blow off some steam. You sighed, biting your lip. He'll catch my lie. He's like a lie detector in human form. Then make it convincing. Mengyu said confidently. You are a great actress when you are annoyed. Just use that energy. You groaned, burying your face in your hands. I can't believe I'm even considering this. Believe it, Mengyu teased, grinning. Now go get that fake leave approved. Later that afternoon, you stood outside Jungkook's office, clutching the neatly written leave application in your hands. You took a deep breath. Okay, you whispered to yourself. You are sad, you are worried. Your grandmother is in the hospital. You're not lying, you're just storytelling. You knocked. Come in. His voice came smooth and deep as always. You entered, forcing your face into a sad expression. He was seated at his desk typing. Yes, he said without looking up. Sir, You cleared your throat and softened your voice. I need to request a short leave for today evening. It's my grandmother. She's been admitted to the hospital. That caught his attention. He stopped typing and looked up at you, eyes unreadable. Hospital? You nodded, trying not to fidget. Yes, sir. She's very sick. I just got a call from my family. He stared at you for a moment, expression still cold but his gaze slightly sharper than usual, like he was scanning your soul. Your grandmother, he said slowly, the one who lives in the countryside. Your throat went dry. Yeah. He leaned back in his chair, arms crossing over his chest. Last week you said she was fine, still taking morning walks, if I remember correctly. Your heart skipped. Yes, sir, but it was very sudden. She fell into a pond. A pond? His tone was flat, skeptical. Very sudden indeed. He looked back at his screen. Application denied. You blinked. What? Denied. He repeated calmly without looking at you. You have work to finish. Sir, please, you said, stepping forward. It's an emergency. His tone turned icier. If it's such an emergency, why do you still have time to stand here arguing? Your mouth fell open. You can't be serious right now. I'm always serious, Miss Ryan. You gasped at him. You are rejecting my leave when I said my grandmother is in the hospital? He looked up, eyes locked on yours. Yes, because I don't believe she is. You froze. You think I'm lying? His lips curved slightly, just enough to make you want to throw something. I know you are. You clenched your fists. You have no proof. I don't need proof, he said smoothly. I have logic. You don't lie very well. Your jaw tightened. You are unbelievable. Glad we agree on something, he said, already returning to his laptop. Now finish the files I assigned before 6. I'll review them tonight. You stood there, seething, eyes burning holes into his perfectly calm face. When you finally turned to leave, he added quietly, and Miss Ryan. You stopped but didn't look back. You should choose better excuses next time. Your grandmother deserves better acting. You nearly exploded. You are careful, he murmured, smirking faintly. You are at work. You stormed out before you could say something that would get you fired. Later that evening, Mingyu found you still at your desk, shoulders slumped, tapping furiously. Still here? He asked softly. You didn't even look up. He made me recheck the entire presentation twice, said it wasn't aligned with his expectations. He got my lie and rejected my leave. Ouch. I hate him. Mingyu chuckled. Guess no club tonight, huh? You glared. No club, no freedom, no life. Just Mr. John, I have trust issues, Jungkook. Inside his office, Jungkook was pretending to read a report, but his eyes kept glancing through the glass wall at you. You hadn't looked at him once since the afternoon. No small smiles, no sarcastic comments, just silence. He didn't know why it bothered him so much. When Taeyong entered with documents, Jungkook asked quietly, Has she gone home? Taeyong blinked. Miss Ryan? No, sir, she's still working. Jungkook exhaled, eyes flicking toward your desk again. She's angry, Taeyong said carefully, smirking. Jungkook shot him a glare. She lied. Still, Taeyong shrugged. You could have just said no nicely. She lied, Jungkook repeated firmly but softer this time. Then almost under his breath he muttered, and she was going to meet that guy. Taeyong blinked. What? Nothing. You can go. Hours later, when you finally finished and left without saying a word to him, Jungkook watched you from his office window again. Tired, quiet, and ignoring him completely, he leaned back in his chair, whispering to himself. She thinks I'm heartless. He smirked faintly. Maybe I am, but I'm not letting her go out with that guy. And that night, as you fell asleep exhausted, swearing you wouldn't talk to your cold, heartless boss ever again, Jungkook sat alone in his office, half satisfied, half restless, pretending that making you stay late was just business. The next morning, the atmosphere in the CEO's office was different. Not that anyone else noticed, except maybe Taeyong, who had been working with Jungkook long enough to sense when his boss was on the edge. But you were done. After what he pulled yesterday, rejecting your leave and making you stay late, you had made up your mind. No talking, not a single unnecessary word. So when you entered his office, you didn't greet him like usual. No polite good morning sir, no sarcastic comment, just silence. You placed the files neatly on his desk and turned to leave, Miss Wyan. Jungkook called without looking up from his computer. You stopped waiting. Where's the meeting summary from yesterday? You typed quickly on your tablet and handed him the document without saying a word. He frowned. No verbal response. You just blinked. Jungkook leaned back in his chair, studying you. Did you lose your voice overnight? You shook your head slightly, lips pressed into a polite fake smile. Then he pressed, eyes narrowing, still nothing. He sighed. You're not seriously going to do this silent act in my office, are you? You raised a brow as if to say, watch me, and calmly walked out. Jungkook stared at the door for a long second, muttering under his breath. She's really doing this. By lunch, the entire floor had felt the shift. Normally, you would be seen moving in and out of Jungkook's office, asking for files, confirming schedules, maybe teasing him a little. Today, dead silence. You kept your distance, responding to his messages only with short professional emails. Email from Miss Wine. Meeting rescheduled to 3 p.m. Confirmed. Email from John Jungkook. Noted. Bring the client data. Email from Miss Wine. Attached. No sir, no thank you, no regards. Just cold, just like him. It was driving Jungkook insane. In the cafeteria, you sat with Mingyu again, laughing quietly about something he said. Mingyu leaned over, whispering. He looked at you 3 times when he walked past his office. I think he's losing his mind. You rolled your eyes, smiling. Good, he deserves it. You really are ignoring him, huh? I'm not ignoring him, you said innocently, sipping your drink. I'm just conserving my energy. Mingyu laughed. That's one way to say revenge. Meanwhile, up on the top floor, Jungkook was once again checking the CCTV. He told himself it was just coincidence, that he just happened to glance at the screen at the same time you were in the cafeteria. But when he saw Mingyu slide a slice of cake toward you and you smiled, that smile that used to appear in his office sometimes, his jaw tightened. Taeyong walked in mid-scene and stopped. Sir, are you seriously watching the cafeteria again? Jungkook glared. Don't you knock. I did, twice. Jungkook minimized the screen immediately. It's for building security. Taeyong smirked. Right, you're definitely protecting the company from cake sharing incidents. Get out. Jungkook snapped. But the damage was done. Taeyong left chuckling and Jungkook was left fuming, glaring at his blank screen. Later that afternoon, Jungkook called you into his office again. You stepped in silently, tablet in hand, not even glancing at him. Close the door. He said, you did. Sit. He added, you sat still silent. He leaned forward slightly, fingers tapping on the desk. You are really not going to talk to me? You looked straight at him, expression calm, and shrugged. Jungkook's brow furrowed. Is this about yesterday? No answer. He exhaled sharply. You lied to me, Miss Wine. What did you expect me to do? You crossed your arms, tilting your head as if to say, oh really? His eyes narrowed. Don't look at me like that. Still nothing. Fine, he said, leaning back. Silent treatment. Very mature. You stood up, gathered your papers, and turned to leave. Wait, he said suddenly. He stopped but didn't turn. I. He hesitated, almost like he wasn't sure why he had stopped you. Make sure to take a break. You have been overworking. You blinked. That was unexpected, but you just gave a curt nod and left. That evening he saw you again, not through CCTV this time, but in person. In the lobby, you were walking out with Mingyu, laughing softly. Jungkook, waiting by the elevator, froze when he saw it. Heading out together? He asked suddenly, voice calm but sharp. You both stopped. Mingyu smiled politely. Yes, sir, we are heading to the cafe down the street. Ah, Jungkook said flatly, eyes flicking between the two of you. Coffee again. You gave a polite, empty smile. Yes, sir. You have made sure we don't get any inside the office after 8 p.m., remember? His jaw tightened at the reminder. You still weren't talking to him normally. Be careful, he said stiffly. It's late. Thank you, sir. You replied, voice polite but distant. You walked past him, your perfume brushing faintly against his coat. He turned, watching as you disappeared out the doors with Mingyu. When he returned to his office, he threw his jacket onto the couch and muttered under his breath, Cafe, right. Cafe at night with him. He paced once, twice before sitting down again, rubbing his temple. Taeyong peeked in, holding some files. You okay, sir? Jungkook glared. Do I look okay? Honestly, Taeyong said, smirking. You look like someone whose favorite employee just ghosted him. Jungkook shot him a warning look. She's not my favorite employee. Sure, Taeyong said, grinning. That's why you have been watching her through security footage for 3 days straight. Get out. Taeyong laughed all the way down the hall. By the time you came in the next morning, Jungkook had already decided something. He wasn't going to ask for your attention. He was going to take it. Miss Wyan, he called as soon as you walked in. You paused. Yes, sir. His voice was smooth, almost casual. Cancel all your lunch meetings today. You frowned. I? He raised a brow. Oh, you can talk now. You glared. What do you want, sir? Lunch. My office. 1 p.m. sharp. Lunch? You repeated, confused. With you? He smirked. Unless you would prefer to spend it with Mingyu again. Your eyes widened slightly. You? He leaned forward, resting his elbows on the desk, voice low and smug. What? I keep an eye on my employees, remember? You crossed your arms. You are unbelievable. He smiled slightly. You have said that before. You groaned. Fine, lunch, but only because you are my boss. He grinned faintly, watching you turn away. Sure, Miss Wyan, keep telling yourself that. And as you walked out, Jungkook leaned back in his chair with a small, satisfied smirk, the first real smile he had had in days. Maybe the silent war was ending, or maybe it was just beginning. He walked into Jungkook's office at 1 p.m. sharp, 2 plates, 1 coffee, 1 silence. He didn't look up at first, just pushed your plate forward and said, sit. You said, but not like a secretary, like someone finally ready to end the long, strange war between you. Neither of you spoke for a while. Folks moved, time didn't. Then Jungkook quietly said, you're still angry with me? You lifted your head. You made me work till midnight just because I wanted a day off. What do you think? He sighed. I didn't do it because of work. You frowned. Then why? To test my patience? He leaned back on the couch, eyes dark and unreadable. No, because I didn't want you to leave. You froze, your lips parted slightly, but no sound came. He wasn't smirking, he wasn't teasing. He just said it like it slipped out before he could stop it. I knew where you were going, he continued, voice softer now. I saw the text on your desk. Mingyu asked you to go to the club again, didn't he? You blinked. You went through my... I didn't mean to. He interrupted, rubbing his temple. It was open, I saw it and something in me snapped. The room went still, only the clock ticked in the background. You spoke after a long moment, half whispering. You could have just said that instead of making me suffer. He looked up then, and for the first time he didn't look like your boss. He looked like a man who had lost every excuse he used to hide behind. You think I didn't want to? Every time I saw you with him, I wanted to tell you to stay. But I didn't have the right. I'm your boss, not. He stopped himself. Not what? You asked quietly. He stared at you, then exhaled like he was surrendering. Not the man you are supposed to fall for. Your heart flipped just like that, butterflies, chaos, all at once. You stepped closer without even realizing it. You are saying that like you already did. He gave a small, helpless smile. Maybe I did. Maybe that's why I couldn't stand seeing you laugh with him. You shook your head, trying to hide your own smile. You are impossible. I know. He said softly, standing up. But so are you, and yet I still. He paused, eyes meeting yours. Still choose to lose my mind over you. For a moment, everything was quiet. Then slowly you said, "You are lucky I decided not to quit then." His brows rose slightly. "Oh, why not?" You smiled faintly. "Because someone has to keep an eye on you now." Jungkook chuckled under his breath, stepping closer, his voice dropping. "Then you better not take another fake leap. I don't handle distance well." You laughed, the kind that made his shoulders relax, and for the first time there was no CCTV, no files, no jealousy. Just two people standing too close, smiling like they had already crossed that line long ago. You left his office that night, heart racing. He didn't say "I love you." You didn't need him to, because sometimes the most real confessions are the ones that slip out in the middle of ordinary sentences, like "I didn't want you to leave." That was the line that changed everything.